Welcome, overseers, back to 2 Plus Tough. My name is Doug, and today we're going to be breaking down how to use the AI program in Fallout Wasteland Warfare by Modifius. If you don't know, this is an awesome skirmish miniatures game that allows you to essentially play an analog version of your favorite Fallout game in the tabletop in real life. They have releases covering, I think, as far back as Fallout 3 in New Vegas, I believe, all the way forward to Fallout 4 and 76. And one of the most unique things about that game, besides being set in such a fun, fantastic universe, is the fact that this game can be played either solo or cooperatively. And the way that cooperatively would work is kind of like solo. Basically, instead of you versus the computer, it's you take a couple of characters and a buddy takes a couple of characters, and together you face the computer. In this term is just basically the AI system of how you dictate what the enemy that you don't want to play as is activating. A little while back, I did a battle report on this channel. I did a narrative battle report and then more of like a step-by-step tutorial of how it functioned. Those two videos are still up. I'm going to link them down below. They're in this same playlist. So if you want to see the kind of game that what we're going to discuss today can make, go check that out over there. But I'm going to reference it simply because it was a really good illustration of a game using the AI, and now we're going to talk about the back end of that. The first thing I really suggest you do is go check out the Fallout Wasteland Warfare app on your phone. It's for both iOS and Android devices. And it's a fantastic app. It has either you can buy the cards digitally for there, it has all the reference material for the entire game, or there is like a monthly subscription option. I think it's like $2.99 a month. I have personally gotten way more value than $2.99 out of it. But your mileage may vary. Also, there are a lot of card packs that you can buy off of Modifius or get printed, that kind of thing. But I'm going to show you how to use the app because I think it is the most effective way to organize the material if you're going to be doing the AI stuff consistently. A fantastic way to get people into wargaming is to play Fallout Wasteland Warfare. You give them two characters and you manage everything through the app, kind of acting sort of like a DM, but catering the experience to have some fun with your buddy. So now we're going to move over to the shared screen with my phone. I'm going to walk through on this end how we do the AI stuff for Fallout. We'll start here at the home screen of the app, and where I want to start is what we're going to work back to. So I actually want to start by talking about the second one down here, the battle tracker. This is really the key to doing the AI stuff. Essentially, this is going to manage all of the miniatures and the effects that we have on the tabletop once we get going. This is essentially the one-stop shop for everything going on with this particular game. All the reference material will be here once we assign it. This is where the AI magic happens. But first, we need to add rosters to this. What forces are going to be playing? So we're going to back out. We're going to go up to forces. And this is where you would create your lists. Now, for the games that I have linked down below, I just did a simple 500 point game. I had mentioned in those games there is an Adepticon event that is absolutely wonderful, that uses 500 points on 2x2s, and it's just an astounding good time. So that's where I suggest you start. Now I have here the top two lists, the Super Mutants 500 and the Raiders 500. I know the Super Mutants one is a little bit over, ignore that. That was for me playing around with list purposes. But those are going to be our two forces that we're going to drop into our game. So since the lists are made, if you didn't have the list made, this is where you would stop and go to create a new force. We're not going to worry about that. We'll back out, go back to Battle Tracker, and that top left icon with the little power armor helmet, that's going to be your Add Forces button, and it just looks at all the things that you have created. So you could even create lists that are unrestricted, that are just nothing but the creatures that you want to fight. It does not matter, anything like that. So we'll add the Super Mutants, and they are going to be playing against the Raiders, just like we did in our battle report. Now all of the units for both sides are present, and if you click into them, you will actually see the equipment that you built for them in your list. You'll also see this battle tracker information for keeping track of things like wounds, radiation, all that kind of stuff. It's quite incredible. So we'll back out. And now you have your forces ready, and you are ready to press start. It'll remind you, hey, do you want to play without generating a Wasteland event deck? And event decks are something that really come up more when you're doing the campaign series of just like consequences kind of coming back up on you. They also have a lot to do with like natural events. So if there's a rad storm or something like that, You can choose, I would suggest if you're just starting, skip the Wasteland deck, or the event deck. If you are up for a challenge and you want some fun, I mean, they're not massive challenges, but they are fun and unique, go ahead. I'm going to click no. Let's click event deck, generate a new one. We're playing for 5 rounds. And then you have a chance to curate it, which means if you have any of those consequence cards that a mission gives you, that's just where you can slip them in. But we're good. So we will click start. Now, you can see at the top center, it says Battle Round 1. Now we are actually in the game. And all the information you need is here. So for example, let's say you and a buddy are playing the Raiders and the AI is taking on the Super Mutants. You get to go first. Okay, I'm going to activate a Psycho. We'll click one of the Psychos. Here you can see what kind of items they have, both in terms of chems, weapons, armor, loadout, that kind of stuff. And you'll notice this suite of tokens here right below her picture. And this are the actual tokens that you get in the game. This is why I think the app is a great value. It just saves you the headache on tokens. When you activate a model, just like the rulebook tells you to, you have to click that little ready icon. You see it lights up there. And then when you're done activating a model, you flip it over to activate it. And that's all there is to it. And when you back out, you'll see that little icon over there, meaning this unit has gone. They're exhausted. This becomes really important because you want to track both your actions and the AI's. Eventually, all of these little things on the right will be filled up, and that's how you know the round is ready to turn over to the next one. Of course, you can also track things like being set on fire, or being lucky, whatever the tokens are. They're all represented right here. So that's if you wanted to activate your models. But how do we get the AI, so to speak, to activate a super mutant? Well, it starts with this. Decide how you're going to determine which model activates. For my battle reports that I did, I simply chose. I chose what I thought would make the most sense. The hounds alerted the super mutants, so the hounds moved first, kind of a thing. That's the way I like to do it because I like to bring in sort of the role-playing element of what I think makes the most sense. If you look at the rule books for the actual Wasteland Warfare game, they have a system where essentially you assign each model a random number token, and then you kind of like randomly pick one out of a hat, essentially, and then that one activates, so it's truly random. Which is great, I just find that to be a little bit tedious, and so I just do whatever I think makes the most sense. You could also do anything you wanted in the middle, which is, say you pick 6 models and roll a die, a d6 or whatever, and that one activates. There's a bunch of ways you can do it. But regardless, however you choose to activate a miniature, when you do, let's say we choose to activate the Aviator in this example. We're going to click on the Aviator, and we see his little stat line here. If we need any of his information, of course, we can flip the card with that top right thing. We can see all of his stats. The hat gives him a bonus to perception. This is why that's in green right there. And it also fills in the armor and stuff. Again, it really does do everything. So we've chosen the Aviator to activate, but how do we know what he does? For that, we're going to scroll down to where it says AI. Now there's 3 buttons here under AI. Only one of them really matters for our purposes. Just to kind of give a brief overview, the View AI card is literally just showing you the card that you get when you buy the miniature. It's this thing right here. Normally you would roll to determine this. I really just use it as a reference for what are the actions possible. The bottom one is assign behavior. That really only matters when it comes to specific missions. So for example, there are missions where you're trying to escort or guard a caravan. The caravan might have a behavior where it's always trying to get to the other side of the board or something like that. So for your purposes, generally with AI stuff, it's not going to come up a ton. What does matter is that Get AI Action button. One click, and boom, it tells you exactly what this guy's going to do. You chose to activate the Aviator. The Aviator then, in the background of the app, rolls on that table I showed you earlier, and it comes up with the answer. And it's going to walk you through exactly what to do. Now, this might seem a bit confusing. It's a lot of very verbose language. I think Modifius way overthought things. They were trying to over-articulate. If you just simplify this into common sense phrases, it translates really well. This guy, defeat X. His priority, he's going to move towards the objective. If the objective is a person, he's going to fight it. If the objective is an object, he's going to protect it, right, from the player. If he's not near it, he's going to go to it, and so on. The number of these things is not like you do one and then the next. It's just a list of priorities of sort of like if-then statements. And you're simply going to resolve this the way it is. So again, has a ranged attack up there. You can see below the word action. He's going to be shooting. He's going to be breaking engagement. So he'll walk away from combat to try and shoot something near an objective, and so on. So we'll close out of that. Now you're going to do the actions that it listed. And even if you click it again, it'll still have that same role. So it remembers which role it made for which enemy. You can do all your tracking. This is when you would do your shooting attack. All of your information you need is there. And then when the AI unit is done, we flip him over to activated, and he's good to go. We'll back out here, and now it's time for the raiders to take a turn again. The way that I played it when I did my battle report was, again, I just personally selected which character to activate I thought made the most sense or would be the most fun. Like, for example, if a super mutant's way the heck out back, I brought them forward so that maybe next turn they can do something a little bit more important. And really, I like that style of play because they being Modiphius, I think, put a huge emphasis on making sure that the rules are so tight and articulated that if you had absolutely no imagination whatsoever, you could simulate an event going on in the wastelands of Fallout. But the truth is that if you are willing as a wargamer to kind of take those rules, as guidelines, or just pick the parts that you like, which they do encourage in the rulebook, I want to be very clear about that, you can make something that tells much more of a fluid story that is so less rules intensive. So it can be very overwhelming at first, but when you figure out like the gist of what they're trying to say, it becomes pretty simple. Pick a model, click the AI button, resolve what it does, go to the next guy. Just be sure to mark everyone activated, and that way when you click the next round, it'll reset and also track like chem effects and that kind of stuff, because those change round to round. For me personally, I think this makes a very dynamic kind of event where I hung out with my wife and we played a little game where it was just trying to attack super mutants. So I basically, before I did the last battle report, I did it with my wife and we sat there together, and I functionally was the game master. I had the app and I would just read through, okay, it says to do this, I'll resolve it for us, but she rolled all of her own attacks, movements, decided what to do, and it just made for a fantastic demo experience because you can play a game, with somebody at the same time as demonstrating to them the rules of the game in a way that's not competitive. There's been a fairly big uptick in people looking for cooperative war games. I think this is a great one. If Fallout's not your jam, there is actually another game that's called Call to Arms, or Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. Basically, think Skyrim miniatures. Like, they have other different Elder Scrolls stuff, but if you want to save money on any of it, I do have a coupon code that you can save 10% off of any of your purchases through Modiphius. A little bit of that goes to supporting me and my wife, but don't worry about it. If you have any questions about how to play or run a game of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, please ask them down below, because I use them to make content for my future videos. So I feel like I've kind of gotten everything I could out of that last battle report, right? The gameplay, how I made it, how the AI works. And so I'm excited to start moving forward with basic questions, game setups, tutorials, that kind of stuff. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I can't wait to see you in my next Fallout video. Happy wargaming.